call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda would be the review and approval of the meeting minutes from both July 8th and July 15th.
I read through them both. They looked good.
I read through them. It looks fine.
I move we accept the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, meeting minutes are accepted. All right, next up, public discussion for any items on the agenda for anyone from the public, anyone online.
There's actually something I would like to discuss. I don't know if this is
Is
the
it a
right
commission
moment for
members
that.
report or public report?
This would be it's not a report, but it's a item for discussion. Is that best left to the end?
Commission.
Well, there's no discussion, but you can explain it at the end.
Okay, we'll leave it for the end.
All right. All right, seeing no items for public discussion from the public, we'll move to the working agenda for the meeting. First item up is the farm lease, Farmers National. Mike, you want to?
Excuse me. Yes, so if you're not aware, the airport does have about 110 acres, give or take, of farmer being specific.
112.39 to be exact.
Acres of farm ground that we do lease out. We do hire Farmers National Company to be our farm manager. So John Yeomans is the farm management representative from Farmers National. He's worked with us for a number of years now.
At least 15.
And yeah, it's been a hot minute. But John goes out and secures the ground lease and the terms and all of that fun stuff. If there's anything special that we want in the lease, we tell him and he makes that happen. Each year in the August, September period, we have the opportunity to break the agreement with Farmers National Company and do something different. I am recommended we continue to, work with Farmers National and John to manage the farm. It's been a great relationship and that's really all I got.
And so are we proposing any changes from what we've been doing for the past 15 years?
We are going to renegotiate the lease.
Yeah.
That's the plan. The last couple of years, we've kind of just let it roll because of the crop prices and COVID and all of that fun stuff. It kind of gave us the best deal, but I think John's of the opinion now that if we go out for bid, we can get some better pricing.
Yeah, I mean, we're predicting at least 10% increase in cash rents.
Okay.
So basically, we have a leasing system, computer system. Our company's put a 10% minimum increase. So anything that's not at least 10% or higher is going to get flagged. So what we'll do per Iowa code was we'll issue a notice of termination to the current operator. Doesn't mean we terminated him. It's just, it stops the clock before September 1st. The operators also have the option to terminate us, and they've done that before, and then we renegotiated. But either party, either the farm operator or the landlord, has until September 1st to serve notice. Iowa farm leases by code run from March 1st to March 1st. So.
Any other questions or discussion?
Well, that sounds good then.
All right, well, do I have a motion to continue our current farm management agreement?
Is this a resolution or do we?
No, it's just a motion.
Just a motion. I will so move. Second. But
No, do I have a motion? I'm
yeah,
asking.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, the motion carries. All right, next up are FAA and DOT projects.
All right. Not much more movement on those. Obstruction mitigation, we are working with AECom to get a better detailed list of everything we've taken out and locations and all of that fun stuff I've got both AECom and Bolton and Mink trying to chase our circling approach issues. So we're making sure everybody has the same information, making sure all of that information is at the appropriate FAA people. And that's kind of what we're doing for the obstruction mitigation. As far as the actual work, the contracts, we're still about a month away from DOT seeding season, so the final grass maintenance, yard maintenance, trees, stuff like that will be planted in another month or so.
So going back to the circling approaches thing, because we talked when I was last week flying, whatever. And the thought occurred to me that we have representatives in Congress that can help when we have executive branch issues like this. And this just seems like we're not getting anywhere. So like if we considered reaching out to senators, local representative to try to get some traction on this, because I mean, Carl, it sounds like we just kind of been getting shunted here. You know,
I
like,
don't know, I mean, everything at the FA level has been just really slowed down with COVID. I mean,
Yeah.
and now we're just getting word that they may not be going to a conference this year, and it took me 9 months to get a PAPI full on, so everything is just slowing down.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I'm not saying it's on you at all.
No,
Like,
but my point, the concern I have is, we depend on the FA for a lot of things. I don't know at this point if we'll quite get to the point where we want to piss them off.
yeah, no, and it's a balance, right? Yeah, I totally get that. It's just like, you know, we've been,
Yeah,
how long have the trees been down at this point, you know? And it's just kind of painful.
we're hopeful. Chris, our planner, has been working, and I know that David has been out for some health issues, but if we get some confirmation of exactly what has been done and get that, so we're all certain of what's happened. Chris thinks it won't take long at that point then to get them to release that.
Okay,
What sort of confirmation do we need to give them?
Well, I mean, it's a list of exactly what was moved down versus on the list of the original obstructions.
So how do we give them that list? Do we just give it to them?
Well, we're getting that, AECom's putting that together. That's what
Okay.
that's where
That's
we're at.
AE.
I mean, AECom should have put that together and gave it to them a year ago when we first did it, right? They should have that like ready to just read forward, right? Or not?
Yes and no. I mean, it becomes I mean, I don't know what's taken quite so long for this one. When we submitted everything before, it was basically, we took the GIS layer. If you look at our airport layout plan, you see it's got the overhead map with a bunch of dots on it that represent all of that. What we had to do for the FAA is basically delete the dots that represented the trees we removed. So really, there wasn't a table design. It's just, here's kind of what's outstanding now. And David's kind of going back and recreating that in a Excel sheet, more or less. And so it takes your tree identifications, heights, how much they protruded, all of that fun stuff.
They want more details than what we did originally.
Well, I don't know I don't know if it's more details. It's just the data wasn't collected like we're trying to collect it now, as far as information goes.
Do we need to pay AECom some extra money? Is there something we can do to incentivize them?
No, I don't think so.
Have we already paid them for the whole project, even though it's not done?
No, there's still fees outstanding.
Are they interested in collecting these fees? Or it's just.
Well, I mean, they're working on it.
It just seems ridiculous. I agree. It's taking so long.
Chris didn't make that request until a little, what, week and a half ago?
So the
Couple of weeks ago.
FAA asked to have more detail than just
No,
the map.
Bolton and Mink asked to have more detail. What we're doing is we're trying to figure out where all of this is at with the FAA.
Okay.
And we also, because I've got both AECom and Bolton and Mink doing essentially the same thing and trying to chase this, we want to make sure everybody has the same data. Because Bolton and Mink didn't really have anything to do
No,
with
I
the
know that.
yeah.
obstruction mitigation work.
It's just a surprise to me. I thought that
Airport
was all
layout
taken
plan,
care of.
We can make those updates on that. Once we get all we're confident it's the accurate information.
Would it be possible for the next meeting or even before then to get kind of a detailed punch list of where we're at and what we need to get done until we get that approved?
We can try.
I think it would be helpful for the commission. just to know where, because I think part of the problem is just we don't know where we're at
Yeah.
and there's no sight line to completion, so.
Well, the sight line to completion, we thought was when all the trees were down.
Well, yeah, but
And so that's ultimately, that's what is making me frustrated is
Right.
that
Yeah,
that tree line looks very different from 2 years ago and we still don't have the ability to fly night circling approaches. So
so could we request a detailed punch list of just kind of where we're at, what still needs to be done, what the estimated timing on, and if there's any unknowns, just identifying those as well.
sure. And to be clear, I'm not frustrated with anybody in this room about this. It's just like,
right.
you
No,
know,
I-
every time we ask, it's like, well, we keep asking the FAA, we aren't hearing anything, which is why I'm like, okay, at what point do we start getting Congress involved? Because this is just
Yeah,
ridiculous. Understanding there was a pandemic.
it's seriously affecting airport operations. I mean, if you fly in here at night and the winds are not right for 25 or 30, you'd sure like to be able to circle at night.
And they spent the money, went on
Right.
the
Yeah.
100,
Yeah,
you know, they went on, not 100, but a bunch of people's property and took down their trees for what, you know?
yeah.
The easements that we had to get,
Exactly.
all of that stuff, yeah.
We lose
It was a
fuel
big
sales
thing.
because they have to go to Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
Can you just circle farther away?
No,
No, it's, the whole reason for taking the trees down was to create that clear surface
Yeah,
so that you can have the circling approach as long as there's anything, as long as you haven't confirmed that all the obstructions are out of there and the FAA is signed off, I can't.
But I mean,
that
can't you
you have to
just
get down.
go-
No.
You have to
gotta
West
fly-
Liberty and turn around and come back.
No, because
You gotta stay within a protected area.
there's a protected area and the problem is the runway you're landing on. So,
That- Yeah, okay.
You're below clouds, so
yeah,
the reason you're flying an instrument approach is you're coming in to get below the clouds. You're flying on a defined path.
which we know is safe.
Okay, so
And,
it's,
and then,
so it's only the
but the
instrument one.
runways
Right.
that you approach from the west side of the runways, there's high terrain there. And so there are no approaches that you can actually fly to come into those runways safely. So you have to, and so if,
Okay.
and you have to land into the wind. So if the wind is
The wrong way then.
from the east,
Yeah.
then you're
Okay.
kind of screwed.
All
I'm
right,
not a pilot. Chase.
It's okay.
I'm learning with you here. Okay.
It's okay. It's important we all understand, you know,
Yeah.
at least some of this.
Yeah,
We've also spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get around it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
That's true, you probably have.
Yeah, no, and that's. the
well,
same
the thing you
questions
brought up
we've
to
had.
me today was.
We've talked about it for years.
Would impact that if it did exceed that height, so, yeah. Is there any other discussion on this or any other action?
No, just
Wait,
All right.
a good call on if we can get a punch list, I think that would help.
At least to give us some visibility.
Yeah.
And if there's more that needs to be done, we can talk about that.
Yep.
All right, runway 7 and 25, we have East 10.
Both of these projects, we just got the go letter from the FAA to kind of reconfirm it's on their agenda for the next federal fiscal year, which is 22. Outside of that, we're waiting for them to tell us more or less to bid this things like we planned, but we're still expecting a bid over that December, January timeframe, and that'll give the contractor 6 months or slightly more of, timeline to gather materials and do the work and be ready for September. Is it 4th or 7th?
It's that first part of September.
Early September next year.
Yeah, early September for the approach to be active.
Will that be enough notice?
It's better than 2 months.
Well, better than 2 months, I know. but-
I mean, that's what we're pushing, and Mike just sent an email yesterday, copied me up to Anthony saying, hey, we'll do this as soon as possible, because so we don't run into the same thing we're going to do this year.
Mhm.
Now, hopefully the supply chain's not going to have the same issues next year that it did this year, but to expect it to go back to pre-pandemic timeframe probably isn't realistic either.
At what point would we know we have a problem if we had one during the bid process?
Probably during the bid process.
if they reply or not.
I work with, well, there's half a dozen contractors or less that do a lot of airport work in the state, and I talked to them. They know, they have asked when it's coming back out, and I said, as soon as the FAA lets us. They seem to think that if we do it, late this year, early next year, it's a completely different ballgame than it was trying to do it.
That's good.
It's reassuring.
So right now, they're cautiously optimistic also.
Okay.
And they know it's coming.
Mhm. Yeah, it's good that we've at least prepped them.
Mhm. All right, any other discussion on the two runway projects?
I had just one question for Carl. A few meetings ago, we had mentioned the crazy idea of replacing all of our light bulbs with LEDs. Did you ever find out anything about that?
I did not check on the cost of just changing all the fixtures out. I know that.
I was
I
wondering.
apologize. I remember I had wrote that down to do that, and I did not find out because the portions that are all new, we could change to LED. The part that wouldn't have to be replaced, we probably have to pay for the LED conversion ourselves.
I guess my question was, is it possible just to replace the bulbs with
It's a
LED?
different fixture.
I know for, the reasons that home light fixtures, there are LED replacements for almost any kind of bulb you can think of. Whether or not that would be possible, it'd be cheap. And
I know
it'd save us a
I
ton of-
did look around and I did not find any conversion kits, if you will, that would take the existing fixtures and turn them into LED lights. So you'd have,
Did you look at the bulbs themselves? That was-
The
They're
ones we
probably-
just changed in my kitchen. They had to take out the ballast and do something different.
They're probably highly
That was
specialized.
probably a
The
fluorescent
It was
fixture.
fluorescent.
heat that they generate to be that bright.
They don't, LEDs are non-heat generating,
Yeah, they're much less heat.
but you do have, or I think Mike, you in the past.
I guess it's
used the heat
trying to think
from
what gets
the-
hot on my LEDs.
Yeah.
The base can get, it's got a radiator.
And I see the
fittings on
absence
it,
of heat
but-
is a problem
Well, it's
in the winter.
bulbs themselves.
That was the problem.
Yeah, right.
Outside.
So is that something the commission would like to formally request as a proposal or a quote?
It seems to me that if the initial expense is reasonable, we'd save a lot of money every year on electricity. It's LED bulbs use 20% the electricity for the same amount of brightness. Our
As long as
electric
we
bill
can
is
heat
very- And heat it when we need to.
Carl, what would it take to put together an estimate on?
I'll go ahead and look at that, don't worry about it. It won't take me. I wrote it down to have an answer for you next month.
All right,
That'd be great, thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
okay. Any other discussion on the airside projects? If not, we'll move to airport operations. So first item is management and the T hangar rates and fees. Mike.
yes. Again, for those that haven't done this in a while, also, we do have one person that will recuse themselves because they are our current hangar tenant.
I recuse myself.
Train of thought here. The airport operates T hangars on a year-long lease. The leases have a 30-day out clause, but every year, the airport commission approves the rates and fees for the leases over the course of the year. And then because we have turnover at various points of the year, rather than having contracts come back up here because it could be a while before the airport commission meets, I am authorized to sign the contracts. And as part of the mechanism for deciding the rates and fees, I take a look at basically the airports around an hour's drive away. That's Cedar Rapids, Marion, Tipton, Washington. And the past airport commissions have asked what Ames is doing because they're the other college town in the state. So I do try to keep their rates up to date. And basically everybody's been staying the same for as far as rates go for a long while. Despite the news of inflation that's going on in the world at the moment, I'm recommending we keep the rates the same. We just raised the rates for the
Last year, $5.
for last year. So at one point in time, we did have the cycles kind of on a 3-year where we do inflationary adjustments and then keep them the same for a couple of years. But unless there was a drastic need to do something in the intervening years. I don't think our budget looks good. We're going to have some other contracts that have rate increase triggers, that we're going to have some increased revenue, and our fuel sales have been outstanding. So our fuel commissions are doing really well. So yeah, my recommendation is to leave the rates the same for the next year.
Do you have any other discussion? Well, you're recused, so you can't discuss.
Right, I refuse to discuss.
Comparing to all of the others, it just makes sense, keep it the same.
We can't just raise Warren's rates, right?
Do what you do.
Unfortunately, with the FAA grant assurances, we do have to treat like space the same.
Just kidding.
I know.
I'm fine with keeping them the same.
Okay. All right, well, we do have a motion approving the maintenance of the T-hanger rates for the 21-22 year at the current level.
I move we keep the rates the same for the T hangers for the 21-22 year.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Or seconds? All right. Take a vote by voice. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
One abstention.
One abstention. Next up is budget. And I guess we're up. We've got some discussion topics around art and some aesthetics at the airport.
Interesting.
So,
Can I hand out my?
yeah, go ahead and
handouts?
hand out your handouts. And I've got some handouts.
You've got
too.
some handouts
Yeah,
too.
got lots
Here's
of,
your glasses.
hand that down.
This is-
Yeah, this was.
yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you very much.
So Judy took a tour of the airport a few weeks ago with Matt. And walking around, she noticed a few things that might be opportunities for improvement. I had also been talking with Marcia Bollinger, Public Art, about opportunities. And between the two of us, we also had another discussion with Marcia last week. We've got some proposals we can talk about. Figure we start with the easiest and then go to the more complex. The first is just something that Judy noticed, and I know we probably all noticed sometime or another, but the old baggage door on the terminal is just covered in plywood, and that's painted, but it fades. I think it was probably painted just a few years ago, wasn't it, Mike?
Yeah, it hasn't been that long.
It looks like it's rotting.
Well, it's west side, it's full sun, it's weather, it's not durable.
It's this spot right here.
Oh, you can see it right here.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a better picture.
Yep, so I've got it highlighted in red. A proposal, not necessarily the only option, but a proposal, yeah,
Thank you.
would be a panel, possibly out of aluminum or some other more durable and weatherproof material. Applying the new Iowa City logo and maybe creating a little more of a weatherproof and maintenance-free panel. We talked with Public Art a little bit about this, and really it didn't appeal to them because it wasn't public, available for public viewing. So this is something where we would suggest maybe we just get a quote and see what it would cost to do something in that space and just pay for it from airport funds.
So I love it. I love it.
I've been complaining about that door, that,
Yeah,
Thing for years.
this actually came up a few years ago.
Yeah.
I think we replaced it. We had to replace it with new wood, maybe
It probably needs to-
within my last term for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this would be an opportunity for us to tie in some of the architectural elements of the building. If we did the aluminum, which I think would work really nice, kind of a matte aluminum, match the windows, and then again, get some use out of our new logo. So,
I love the idea.
all right,
You'd think this could be just scanned and painted by some kind of. machine.
probably could.
Yeah.
It probably could be silk screened or something like that. So it's probably a exercise in talking with one of the sign shops,
I would think a sign shop would be perfect.
What's on the other side of that?
the lounge.
Pilot's Lounge.
Mhm. So that's
With
been drywall,
drywall.
yeah, it's been drywalled in and made into a
You
room.
don't see it from the.
But that
inside.
used to be the baggage door for the old United Airlines ticket counter.
Do we need somebody to volunteer to? do that?
I think that, Mike, I mean, it's within your responsibilities as manager to go ahead and
Yeah,
look into
should be
that.
able
So,
Great.
all right. Next up, again, something we've noticed on the air care hanger. At a minimum, it needs painted.
Oh, yeah.
But another opportunity, given the color blue that we've got and the way that would fit with the tan, we can use that logo. Maybe get those doors painted blue and use the logo. Again, one suggestion, another would just be to get it painted.
Set for me.
Yeah, Matt, here you go.
Yeah, sorry, I have to take the call.
Yeah.
Well, Steve,
Thanks. Yeah.
Page 2.
we talked with Marcia a little bit about this one as well from a public art perspective. It's at least a little more interesting because it is public viewable, but given the distance from the road, it's not the most attractive option. So I think, again, we ought to just take a look at what it would cost to get that door repainted. And again, use it potentially as an opportunity to get some mileage out of our logo.
But it's wood?
No,
No,
that's
this is
metal.
metal.
That hanger, who owns it?
We do.
We own that hanger?
We own the building, yeah.
Okay, we just lease it to Air Care. Yeah, okay.
Well, we lease it to Jet Air and Jet Air subleases it to Air Care.
Ah, okay.
Is there a reason why the painting is like that, just in that, like the door specifically?
It'd be expensive to do the whole building and the paint, the rest of the building isn't that
I
bad.
don't think that was the question. you were
No,
asking.
yeah, I'm asking
Okay.
why is it so damaged, just the door?
Well, it's not damaged. It's
Well,
the paint
the
didn't
painting.
stick. Yeah, so there's probably, when it was painted, the surface probably wasn't prepared well enough. Or it's just getting to the end of its life and it's starting to come off.
I was just thinking about, like, if we paint it again, will that happen
Mhm.
in a couple of years again?
Yep, no, it's the right question to ask.
It looks like the underside of it almost reminds me of galvanized steel as opposed to like steel, like wall steel.
Mhm.
So I almost wonder if at some point in time it was just bare galvanized steel and then they painted it with the same paint. Or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'd probably have to have a professional painter.
Well, another option would be wrap. Some of the vinyl wrap they have now, I don't know how well it would stick to galvanize, but that is an option too. That way you don't have to paint anything. But you'd still have to strip it down.
Yeah, I know there's special galvanized primers
Mhm.
that take care of the issue. Probably have to be sandblasted or something, so.
Mhm.
And the paint that's there did last a long time. I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, I don't know when it was been painted last,
I have no idea when it was painted.
decades ago. So, and
Predates me.
it hasn't
Oh, that
always
was
been
a long
bad,
time.
but it's definitely accelerated. Yeah.
Yeah, it predates you.
What I'm wondering though, if we do that, would we also want the other one?
It's possible. Yeah.
Because there's also the
Yeah.
the one right there.
Is, again, Mike, is that something that you could take on as airport manager?
At least get some pricing or get
Mhm.
somebody to take a look at it.
Yeah, I think until we understand what's involved and what the expense is, it's difficult to take any action.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for. Okay. All right, and the last thing, a little more detailed discussion with Marcia about the public art program. And there are two different things going on that we've got an opportunity to leverage if we want to. The first is the fiscal year 22 public art program, where they've set aside several tens of thousands of dollars to wholly fund particular art programs. This year, they're getting public input through surveys. So if you want to answer the survey, you still can. I think the window closes on around August 27th. The airport is listed as one of the locations that is a potential for public art.
We have the
Yeah,
survey.
survey monkey, yeah.
Because of your involvement or just, they just said it?
Well, I think because they're looking toward the south end of town where they don't have as much public art, they're also looking at gateways. And so the
Oh,
idea of
yeah.
gateway projects is really beginning to become important to them. You know, we've got gateways on the interstate, but we also have a lot of people that come in from the south end of town and through the airport. And so there's a kind of a double benefit there as being a gateway both to the airport community and to the, to the people who come in from the south side of town, either commuting every day or for visits. So there is some opportunity there. Again, they're interested in seeing what the public response is. So if we believe there's a good, good reason for investing in some public art here, get on the survey and go ahead and answer and provide that input. They're going to review the survey on September 2nd. And again, you've got, we'll get you the survey monkey link if
Got
you
the
need it.
link. If we need it, yeah.
They'll review it on their September 2nd meeting. Letters of support are encouraged. So if this is something that we would like to partake in, a letter from the Airport Commission would have value. So we can use this as a discussion as to whether or not we support it. We might decide we don't support it, but that's the opportunity that we're laying out. If projects are selected, they would be funded primarily, if not entirely, from that public art money. So there wouldn't be any expense on our side. And the our Public Arts Advisory Committee would manage the call to artists, the proposals, the reviews, but of course would work with the property owner to ensure alignment. And we do have some I'll get to that in a minute. Another separate opportunity is the Public Arts Matching Grants. And this is where they're setting aside $2,000 or up to $2,000 as matching grants on any particular public art installations, murals, sculptures, visual, audio. The first window is going to close here on about August 27th. If you've got a proposal, submit that to the Public Arts Council or Public Arts Advisory. They'll review it at the September 2nd meeting, and then they'll make their decisions on what they fund. But we're being told that they'll have another window, in a few months. So if this first option doesn't work for us, or if we see other opportunities that maybe would match very well with the $2,000 grant, we can still find an opportunity, I think, to submit projects in the next round. But it would require us to set aside as much as matched or more, depending on how much the project costs.
And it wouldn't work for like the door or the logo, because that's telling the artist what to do. It has to be artists.
Yeah. Now you can provide, input on themes or some constraints. So there is a project for the resources building. I think it's a recycling building. Actually, I think I might have written it down here. Oh, it's in the next thing. I think it's the resource management building.
Yeah.
So if you go online, there's the resource management building where they have a call to artists for some mural work, where they've laid out kind of the theme that they're looking for in the mural, as well as some of the constraints with using the existing color of the building. That way you don't have to, completely paint it. You can integrate those colors in. So a proposal, again, this is just a suggested proposal, would be taking advantage of our north hangars and providing those as a canvas for some mural work. Again, something that the Arts Advisory Committee could manage for us, put out there and manage that call artists. And then I came up with some concepts, and this is one way of looking at it. If you look at some of the aviation murals that have been done, this first one is down near Atlanta, Georgia. Gives you an idea of what possibly could be done, integrating the colors that we already have in the building with some of the historic milestones of the Iowa City Airport. And then as far as getting a little more detailed, I also pulled out a couple of really interesting murals. The first one is at the Smithsonian, and the second one's at Iowa State. And the Iowa State one is of an Iowa landscape or sky. But it was kind of interesting because it looked like the sky out this evening. The other thing that was interesting about this first one, the one at the Smithsonian, is I believe elements of that were incorporated into the first one. In fact, you can see the jet just above the flying sense. I think it's the same jet that's on the top of the Smithsonian painting. So that's a few ideas that we've got. We welcome discussion, thoughts.
My only question or concern at the moment is about something that's further on the agenda, which is if I recall correctly, we got funded for hangar door replacements. So
How does that fit?
Yeah, how do we do that?
Well, I just learned that as I was reading the agenda today, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
which is awesome, by the way.
yeah.
That we
I
got
mean,
funding for that because
It was
we've
funny
only,
how the parking lot was first. That's the thing that got, it was at the other two.
yeah, right.
Airside versus landside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
It really is, yeah. It's-
Well, I mean, with the upcoming door replacement program, at least being started, I think we'll be able to do hopefully half the building, but at least 3 doors. So my recommendation would be to hold off on maybe the hangar mural. We can still look at the carry ambulance building,
Mhm.
and we'll get stuff for the square out here. At the same time, I mean, I think I saw a deadline in here, 22 for having stuff up.
So the $2,000 match, that's like for that first round would be June. The second round would be a later date, and then the first program, which is the fully funded program, there's no time limit on that
Yeah, okay.
right now. I think they board with us.
Is it to replace the hangar doors?
Yeah, the idea of what we were going after with the hangar doors is we are going to take the existing doors off, which are counterbalanced with the counterweights. That's how they go up and down, and do electric door models on. Because of the state program, we can't do all 10 at once because of the funding restraints, but this was the 3rd or 4th time we've gone after that for a grant project and finally
So,
got the funding for it.
so the ones facing Riverside. The
And then
five,
that's the building that,
the 5 that are there, you would only do the first 3 of them?
Well, the goal is hopefully to do a whole side at once, but it's going to depend on pricing.
Mhm.
We'll do as many as we can at any given time.
And those come in a certain color?
They would be able to be manufactured so that they have a certain color base, yeah.
So we still could request it, the funding with the blue background. It just, by the time it would get approval and go on, we're looking at like 1.5 years, maybe 2 years before it would actually be painted.
When do you think the doors will go on?
Next summer sometime.
I think it'd just be a matter of working with the art advisory and saying,
Because what I'm worried about is they have the specific funding this year.
Mhm.
If it's not again, we have to pay for all that.
well, let's talk to them to see when the timing is for that.
Yeah.
Because again, they're talking about the fiscal year 22 program, but that, I mean, we're going to be halfway through the fiscal 22 program by the time they make their decision. So I don't think they're going to be putting a hard time frame on it be done by the end of 22. We'll have to talk about it. So, do you have any insight
I
on that?
don't know the timing of all of that now.
But we could always put in a letter,
Oh, yeah.
apply,
Mhm.
you know, and then
Well, I think it might.
I think we should still apply for it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, because when you did this, we didn't know that we
Yeah,
were getting
no.
funded for new doors, and you don't want to paint the doors and then
No.
take them off.
Actually, I guess it's a win-win because what we can do in the letter of support is say, hey, we're getting new doors. This will have some durability. This
That'd be better.
this will be
Yeah.
better because we're not going to be turning around and replacing them in a couple of
Yeah,
years.
because their life is meant to be
Right.
long, they're meant to be durable. Speaking to durability, the art that gets put on these doors is presumably done with longevity in mind, or using materials, art materials.
I
that
think
we-
that's something we'd specify.
Okay,
I think within, and again, if you go to the public arts page, the call to artist for the resources building has a good example of the kind of framework that the property owner can set. In that one, they were setting things like the theme around sustainability and, you know, kind of the thematical elements, but then also, you know, the size of the building and the colors, you know, using the existing color and the time frame that would have to be done, that sort of thing.
okay.
And they also set a budget. I think for that one, they were setting $6,000, and it's probably about half the size of our
Oh,
hangar.
it was one, like about one hanger size.
Was it just one hangar size?
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what that would cost.
Okay,
They wouldn't necessarily have to span the entire.
No.
And not all at once.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that it's several, right? You might do a few different murals over time.
Where's the money coming from for the doors?
That comes from the DOT and our local match.
So what are we doing with the COVID money?
That goes to operations.
Only operations will be able to cover that.
Yeah.
So not much.
No. All right, so moving forward, I think what we are looking for is a motion to authorize a letter of support from the Airport Commission that we will provide to our advisory committee ahead of their September 2nd meeting. And also authorization for one or more of us to attend the meeting for any Q&A. And Judy and I both offered to do that. So,
So moved.
all right, got a second?
I'll second.
All right. Well, I can put the letter together. Judy and I will edit it and we can circulate it for feedback. So,
We need to vote.
oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for putting this together. Well
That's
done.
really a fantastic idea.
And we're going around and taking pictures.
That's a way to get the community involved, and that's one of our guiding principles on the strategic plan.
Well, yeah, and so segueing right into the Iowa DOT funding.
Yeah, so.
Sorry for that.
No, that's okay. As we alluded to earlier this spring, we did put in the grant application for 3 projects, the parking lot, infrastructure for future hangar development, and to replace the hangar 8 doors with electric models. And Monday, I think it was Monday, the Transportation Commission met and authorized the aviation program for the year. Unfortunately, we didn't get the parking lot project, but we got the other 2 projects. So DOT does have a habit of funding all kinds of airside stuff before they fund anything else. And I was afraid something like that was going to happen because we really do need the parking lot work. But knowing what we've got and some other funds, especially from FAA that we didn't have to spend for last year, I'm still going to work with city engineering to see if we can't pull off a parking lot project as well.
Excellent. That's badly
Yeah, it is. And he's known it for a long time. We've known it for a long
Oh, yeah.
time. Everybody's known it for a long
I
time.
mean, the problem is the price tag's about 70 grand. And that's not something we typically have sitting around.
Is there the possibility to get your design work done on where the parking lot's going to go, but then to do something in gravel in the short term, just to give you the extra space so people aren't parking in the grass?
Possibly.
And then you can come back later, excavate and put it in the concrete.
Possibly.
And what's the price difference between asphalt and concrete? Is that?
I have no idea right now.
It'd be a lot less.
A lot less.
Yeah. And we did a neighborhood road once, had to choose between asphalt and concrete. There was no comparison.
Any restrictions on doing asphalt?
What, for a
For
parking lot?
parking lot, yeah.
No, because the asphalt, I mean, it's asphalt right now. The whole road is asphalt.
Oh, so it was 70,000 for asphalt?
Well, I mean, for the 2 ends, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You remember the original idea was about 10 parking spots on each end of the circle.
Mhm.
So that's 20 stalls, basically just cutting off the circle and making 10 spots on each end.
Gotcha.
And by the time you dig all that out, reshape it and make it flat and drain and all of that fun stuff, yeah.
Any further discussion?
Just timelines, probably expect the grants sometime over the next couple of weeks, so they'll be on the agenda to accept next month. And then we can authorize task orders for Bolt and Mink to do plans and specs and all of that fun stuff.
So the doors was the one, what was the other one again? The hangar?
Infrastructure for the
The new hangars, south hangars.
potentially private built hangars.
And how much is the grant?
The door grant is 75,000 and
It was like,
I've got it in the packet too.
So.
So it's in the agenda. package?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at it.
So that their grant 75,000 and then we're kicking in another, it's like 19,000.
That sounds right. Yep.
And then over here, this is the hangar doors. This is an expensive one.
That's
Putting
like,
350,000 and then you're putting in another 65, something
Yep.
like that. 60,000. A little
The
over
difference.
60,000. Yeah.
but it's like the other projects. We have capital funds that we receive from the city every year to help with grant matching. So we're not actually, the airport budget
It wouldn't suffer them.
Yeah,
So we're back to the parking lot. Do we have the funds to do this ourselves? Sounds like we probably
Maybe.
do. Okay. But if we do, then I would propose that we go ahead and do it.
Do we have competing proposals for what that extended, for the additional parking lot would look like, or is there just one proposal?
I mean, it's just one design process, and if you wanted to do something different, we could certainly take a look at it, but
Yeah, I just, as an, kind of an architect, I'd like to see some options, if that's okay.
that was the cleanest and the easiest to add more parking that's up here and not
Added where
you know,
exactly?
out in the boondocks.
Yeah,
Like between
left
here and the
and,
tower?
left and right.
basically just squaring off the circle.
I see. Is there room between the current parking lot and the tower for another row of diagonal parking? Probably not.
Not really. I think we run into that with the pancake breakfast when they do the car show.
So no resolutions needed at this time or motions?
Not yet.
You'll be preparing some, what you call them, they're basically RFQs? Request for quote, request for proposals?
No, these, as far as the engineering services, that'll go to Bolton Mink. That's part of our engineering contract that we already signed with Bolton Mink for task orders. And then, yeah, I mean, they'll put together plans and specs and based on what we're looking for.
Well, it'd be nice if we get 5 doors in for that price.
Boy, that'd be awesome, but
Yeah, it would.
All right. Okay, any other discussion on the DOT funding? Next up is events.
Just, we're hitting that end of the year timeline. So these are the last few events that we've got on the schedule. Last weekend, we did do the Young Eagles rides that went off really well. I think they had 72 kids, 72 or 73 kids that got airplane rides. So this weekend, we've got the autocross group. At the end of the month, we've got the pancake breakfast, and we've got one more drive-in movie at the beginning of October.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, next up is flight training and FBO.
Well, if you want to just take one and pass it around. As far as the maintenance stuff goes, there's nothing that's super special. I'm just gonna look through it one more time to see if there's anything that you really brought up. They trimmed the front bushes, like the ones around this building.
that was a jet apron.
It was vibrating itself apart.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
Not good.
they require a fair bit of,
Was that on the old tank?
No, it's on the motor that drives all of the fuel back and forth.
Oh, okay.
So not related to the new tank that we got in.
No.
it still feeds the new tank, or still
Yeah,
that pumping system, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The, really, there wasn't anything else. The one kind of cool thing is hangar 56, which is off of, if you were to walk out of our maintenance shop and down the hill, there's that glider bay hangar, the extra wide hangar. That is now going to be used to store city equipment, airport equipment, which is awesome. It's it's kind of a wide hangar that's also very that's also very awkward for airplanes because it's kind of like got a 3D kind of setup. So it's big, but you can really only fit one thing in there. And best case scenario, it's a glider because that's about the only thing that is that wide.
Wide enough. Yeah.
That's that narrow and stuff. But anyway, so that'll be a nice spot for that equipment. You can back the tractor in there and the plow, because before this, we didn't really have, without using like another, like one of Jet Air's hangars in the wintertime, to have the plow on the truck, was, you had to have an extra wide door type of deal.
And the
So
glider went where?
he sold it.
Oh, okay.
Yep, yep.
So the hangar, he still owns the hangar presumably?
No,
Oh,
no, he returned the hangar to the airport.
it's not the private built hangar that's on the end. It's just it's on the end of the end cap of the T
Oh,
hangar.
yeah. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Faces the
Okay.
maintenance hangar.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
noticed
Yep.
trucks in there already, so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we just kind of
Yeah.
starting to get stuff
Gotcha.
converted over into there and stuff like that. And we'll be working with Mike to kind of rearrange some of the other stuff that's stored around to kind of get it consolidated, because there are lots of little garage bays on the end of end caps of things that can hold some stuff, but nothing that can hold stuff that's that big. So,
Mhm.
so anyway, so that'll be really good, especially with a new truck, to be able to have a nice good spot that's set. You can open up and go out of. It'll be really nice. Other than that, any questions on the maintenance side of things? On the jet air and just general airport side of things, Mike mentioned earlier, the fuel sales have been really strong. They have been. I mean, we're probably well on our way to, for sure, the best year ever in terms of quantity of fuel sold, and gallons pumped and stuff like that. And that's happening at the same time as there's just a terrible trucker shortage for fuel. So it's really, really good timing that we got the second jet fuel tank. So typically, whenever we ask for fuel and we say we need it on Wednesday, usually on Wednesday or Tuesday night late, they call and say that Friday will be the earliest they can get it to us, or type of a deal. Which has been great to have the second tank from the standpoint of what we've been doing is kind of regardless of price at the moment. We've been ordering it as soon as it appears we can take a load, just so that way we can keep it full. So anyway, so that's been a good thing to be able to do. In Galesburg, we ran out of fuel twice because, of course, Galesburg pumps a fifth or a fifth or a sixth of what we pump. They don't pump much of anything there. But of course, they got an influx of crop duster traffic, and so they went from not much to a ton, thousands of gallons a day, and when you call up and you newly are asking for more loads, I mean, you just can't hardly get them. So they were bending over backwards. We were ordering loads and then at the last minute changing the destination to try to get it to go and stuff like that to get them covered. Of course, now the season's over, so they've slowed back down. But anyway, so it's just been kind of an interesting thing, really good timing to have the extra capacity. Other than that, I mean, that's the main thing. Just general aviation business travel has been extremely busy. It's a lot of like our type of charter type business, because a lot of the businesses are still kind of spotty on what travel they're doing, but it seems like a lot of the charter type flying, whether it's for personal flying or personal businesses, that's been a lot busier than say like, Fortune 500 type companies or bigger companies flying, have all still been pulled back quite a bit. So we've been going quite a bit, which is approximately half the fuel sales in the airport, or a little over half now, is kind of our charter business and stuff like that. So that's been a big driver of it. And then we still get quite a bit of traffic, obviously, for the hospital and everything else. That's all seemed to pick back up. That you wouldn't think that during a pandemic that would slow down, but they stopped transferring patients. So a lot of the fuel sales and stuff like that did dip. And Mike's got some good charts and stuff that reflect that, but that all appears to be back. They're transferring, moving stuff around quite a bit. But yeah. Speaking of, there's a helicopter coming in. That's pretty much it for the jet air side. Everything else just plug along. We're getting ready for Stearman Flying in Galesburg, Illinois, which is Jet Air's corporate office. They have an event every year called the Stearman Flying, where they bring in an open cockpit biplanes. And so they come in from all over the country, and people come from around the world to go there. It's the 50th year, so they've got an extra big year of that. Jet Air has a Stearman. That was one thing. That's one last thing I'll say. We have a Stearman, and we brought it over last week and a half. And we did 16 or 17 employee rides. We took our employees up.
Seeing it flying.
Yeah, yeah. So 16 or 17 employee rides, and then we did about 4 or 5 other just customers and family and employees. Now it's already back in Gilbert. We'll have it back again one of these days. So, yeah. But pretty much
When
it.
it's back, maybe we should notify.
Yeah, we did commission rides. Yeah, man, it's a lot of fun.
They want to take a lesson. That's so bad.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Got the tail wheel just so I could do something.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we did set it up, so it's over in Galesburg, which it's really difficult to do here because we don't have a grass runway for training, because the visibility is out of the airplane is pretty poor and stuff like that. And anyway, we did set it up, and that's kind of the reason we have it over in Galesburg, is to be able to, like, when somebody buys a Stearman or whatever, we have the ability to train them in their airplane or in this airplane to do a transition course into them. We haven't done much of it yet, just a couple, but it'd be something to go there and do, because there's a nice grass runway and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and not much activity. Here, I mean, if you're in the wind and you're trying to talk on the radio and there's a bunch of helicopters and stuff, you really gotta listen and stuff pretty close.
Is Greencastle a grass runway?
They got grass on the end, yeah.
Yeah, Greencastle would be one that I know they use them in and out of there, have had over the years quite a bit. But yeah.
There's a few bumps, but
Exactly, yeah. I'd almost rather just
Little on the
land
narrow
here,
side,
but yeah,
Telephone
Okay.
wires, and, you know, trees, etc. Other than
exactly.
that, it's fine.
Yeah. But no, that's pretty much it on jet air stuff.
From the simulator, has it been used in the work?
Yeah,
Used it.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
and I need to probably get back into
Yeah.
giving the kind of a report on that.
That's one of the things I wanted to bring up, so we're gonna talk about something that we could talk about it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think it's not being used nearly as much right now as it initially was. We're using it for instrument training, and then, some people are using it every now and then to maintain their instrument currency. I think the price is actually a bit of a discourager. I think, we're $55 an hour, I believe.
65, actually.
65, okay. So I think since it's mostly paid for, I wondered if the commission wanted to consider reducing the price. And maybe people who have residual hours, we could say just double the hours so they're not pissed off that they spent a lot of money. And being screwed. So that's just something I want to throw out for discussion. I'm thinking, $30 an hour might be reasonable for a basic flight simulator like that.
where are we at on payback?
We're paid off. I don't have the numbers exactly on hand, but we're paid off.
We're not in the hole for any of it.
Yeah. The other thought would be to advertise it a little more. At one point, I was considering making a little poster that says, "Hey, do you know about our simulator?"
The summer months have been slow. June,
Yeah.
we just got the check for July from Jet Air, and it was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
June was like 5 hours. I mean, and I think we anticipated that to some degree because the bulk of the use, because it's instrument, will be that winter
When the
season.
weather's right.
Season. And it was used a great deal in winter. And I was on it at the Young Eagles Day I just did a quick demo for a previous commission member. And it was at 191 hours. So it's been used.
And I think some of the numbers that you see there too are from Jet Air's check is excluding the people who prepaid too. So there's
That's
some
true.
other usage,
Yeah.
but not like,
When you look at the logbook, though, it's not that extraordinary.
exactly. And it's not every day that it gets used.
So we're coming up on our 2-year period at the end of this year, right? January?
I believe that's right.
Yes.
From January.
I don't think anyone would have heartburn if once we're through that 2-year period, we reduce the price. I mean, between now and then might be a little sticky, but I think, I still have my
We got
hours to
about
use.
5 months to hold out.
Yeah. Well, so I'll go ahead and follow up on my original idea to make some kind of poster that we could put in the lobby.
We even put on the outside of that door, because there's nothing on that door.
Well, that's something
Yeah.
that Judy was noticing, that no one knows that there's something in there and we're not advertising. It's, it's locked and the shades are closed, so you don't know there's something
Yeah.
going on there. We probably need to do a better job of making that simulator presence
bought-
known.
I bought a sign so it says flight simulator now.
That is on the door.
It is there.
It
Oh,
is
yeah,
on the
that's-
door.
yeah.
It's in
Yeah.
the pilot's lounge.
Okay,
now.
I
Has a
think I did
sign
notice
says
that, actually,
Pilot
yeah.
Lounge.
Yep, yep.
But at least
Yeah, it's
leave,
good,
at least
yeah.
leaving
Good.
the shades open or something when,
Yeah.
when it's not being used, so that people can see in there and they can see there's a simulator.
I agree with that too.
I'm assuming that's probably what happened is that people felt like people were looking in. That must be why they closed them and of course.
And that's
nobody
fine while
opens
they're
them, but it'd Be good
flying,
to open it
yeah.
up. Exactly, yeah.
Nobody wants to have someone watching you screw up on their.
Yeah, well, it's turned sideways, so as long as you're smiling, I mean.
This is a promise.
Exactly, yeah.
that guy just auger in?
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think it might be a good idea to have a sign on the outside that like displays the rates and stuff and that make it known that this is, I mean, it's one thing to have a thing that says flight simulator, but it doesn't broadcast that it's
Yeah.
also
You need to
available for you
advertise
to
it.
use if
Right.
you want.
And it's FAA approved for instrument
Yeah.
currency and you don't need an instructor, put all
Yeah.
those things on.
It sounds like we need a sign made.
Yeah, okay.
Just volunteer to create something.
I did.
All right.
You made this bed, Lauren, you get to sleep in it.
Yeah, I know. I really like to see it used a
Yeah,
lot
no,
more.
I'm with it.
That's one thing that, thinking about reducing prices on the, I mentioned to Mike the other day, one thing that came up mainly with Oshkosh traffic is we've had a fair bit of people, Jet Air sells like the Iowa City Airport T-shirts,
Mhm.
for the airport. And I think we're like, what, $15 a shirt or something like that. Is it 15 still?
I think it's 15. 'Cause
Um,
We already dropped the price once on them.
Yeah, it's been a little bit awkward because like they'll say, well, if we top off, can we get a free shirt or something like that? Stuff like that. It's like, well, shoot, it's gonna cost me $15 here, whatever it is. And so then I gotta do the math and figure out, but I was hoping to figure out a way. We also, the other side of this too, we still have like 200 shirts. And we have massive variety. We've got women's cut and we've got kids sizes and we've got stuff that will never move. I mean, it'll move
But
eventually.
people don't
When
know
we
it's
give
out
it
there.
away.
But people, yeah, but we have the sizes listed and they're in the display case. They look pretty nice and stuff like that. I mean, that's all pretty good. But I was wondering about like if the airport had any interest at some point in time and kind of clearing out that inventory and starting over with a new design, not the new design, because new logo, or same logo, but something different eventually that's maybe in like small, medium, large, extra large adult.
If we were a business, we would have cleared out that inventory years ago.
I know, yeah. So, but I mean, if you do the math, I mean, I don't know what they cost the airport. There's 200
A
of them.
little over
Five-
$5 a shirt.
$5 a shirt, so it's still, I mean, it's a dollar amount. That's a couple budgets ago,
Mhm.
but I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Year-end clearance.
exactly, yeah.
Cut the price, see if we can get them sold by the end of the year.
Well, I mentioned to Mike, I mean, I don't know what the number would be, but Jet Air would have an interest in buying them all if it was like $2 a shirt or $3, because we would just give them away
Mhm.
in that scenario where it's like, yeah, you topped off or in the instance where we have somebody who
Buy 10
For
gallons, get one shirt.
exactly, yeah.
Buy another gallon.
Exactly, yeah. But then if
Somebody's
somebody's,
running into your weight and balance calculation.
Yeah,
I gotta
that's-
top off because I can't leave. I can't take off.
exactly, yeah.
I'm sure heavy.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that's something you guys can all kind of discuss or whatever, but I just figured I mentioned if they were wholesaled out, we'd have an interest in just buying it
Yeah.
and giving them away unless the airport wanted to give them away or the airport wanted to do something, but it'd be handy to do something to get it cleared out a little bit.
I'd say that Mike has a lot of discretion in what you want to do there. So
I am all in favor of maybe working with Matt on I mean, I guess from the commission level, I don't know if Sue will let us make a decision, keep talking about this, but
Sure.
if we sell them at a loss to Jet Air, is the commission amenable to that? I mean, in theory, we've gotten our money back, like we broke even on the initial investment to get them made.
We've sold enough to
cover the cost.
cover the cost.
Yeah.
So now
So
it's
it's
just
just,
extra.
it's profit that we're losing.
Well, I mean, we didn't buy these to make money. We bought them as marketing and and celebration. of 100 years.
Kind of did. I mean, it was meant to go with the 100, and I get what you're saying.
Well, it's like the simulator. We didn't really buy it to make money. We
No,
bought it.
as a service
as
to
a
the
service,
public
and we want to
community
make sure we clear our
and
costs, so.
You're gonna have to have a comfort level at its fair market value.
Mhm.
And so maybe Mike can just crunch some numbers.
So the fair market value?
Probably more than $2 a shirt, I would guess.
$250.
When you consider that on the back, it has 100-year anniversary and we're year 102 or whatever we're coming up on.
Almost 103.
Yeah.
That makes
it's
like collectors.
That
That
means-
means
Because I don't know.
10 times as much.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Don't you watch Antiques
Yeah.
Roadshow?
I want it
Exactly.
sealed in its plastic bag.
Yeah.
The problem is we got to go another 100 years to get those shirts.
Now, don't
Yeah.
finish it, because that'll destroy its value.
Exactly.
I'm gonna make a motion that we authorize Mike to come up
Yeah.
with fair market value and work with Matt to
Okay.
Sounds
dispose
good.
of the inventory.
Second.
Sounds good.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those
Sounds
opposed?
good. They do a lot more good for the airport on people's backs than in our case.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, before you do that, let me buy some because I need to replace my old ones.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Just wait until he buys them. and then
Well,
we give them
Exactly. You
away.
might get one for free. Be
Yeah.
careful.
Are we in commission members reports now?
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, before we get there, I was gonna say on a related note, why don't we bring up the rates again on the simulator?
Yeah.
Like in our November, December meeting.
Okay.
And in the meantime, you're gonna work on the poster, but I
I'll
think,
work on the
I think
poster.
reducing the price, once we get through that 2-year period and assure, we've got our payback and we've been fair to those who've invested.
So if I have a large poster printed and maybe dry mounted, it will be a commission payment.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Scott, do you use the simulator?
I don't use the simulator because I've got my own.
Okay, so we should probably, as users, we should probably recuse ourselves since we're talking about rates of something that we consume.
Oh, for rates, yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll let the three
Yeah,
who don't use it decide if that's fair or not.
yeah, absolutely.
No, that's true.
I was worried that you were gonna say, well, yeah, and then it's like, oh, God.
I was one of those people who bought ours, but I've never used any of them.
Yeah.
And I really don't plan to ever use any of them. That was, for me, it was just a donation. So,
Well, although if you do become instrument rated, which I think you will probably, then you can use it for currency, which you can't do with your home,
no, the home one is more for training and
And
then
it's useful for that, but it's not legal.
it's not legal.
Yeah.
You can't count it as hours. You can use it all you want and get really good.
But you can't actually
But you
log
just
it.
can't
yeah.
log the hours. So.
Yeah, and you showed me that you're good at it. We went flying, we flew that approach perfectly.
That's what a really good autopilot does.
I wasn't gonna mention the autopilot, but you set it up perfectly. And there we go.
It's all the experience. that I
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, we'll come back later this fall and
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
that sounds fine.
All
That's a
right,
good idea. Thanks for bringing it up. Mark.
appreciate it. All right, commission member reports.
So I just, one other thing that my wife actually encouraged me to bring up, which may require Sue's input as well. This business about we can't have a quorum if we meet by Zoom, if anyone comes in by Zoom with the COVID-19 Delta variant spiking and all these crazy no mask rules and everything. I mean, do we have, as a commission, have some leverage or some way to object?
That's
I was
state,
telling Mike when I came.
that's a state rule,
State law,
state law.
It's a law
Yep.
Yes.
passed by the legislature.
yes.
So the law is in-person meetings. The exception was the executive order, correct?
Yeah.
And so
She
the executive,
suspended the,
right, so the executive order has, she suspended the law under executive order and now has rescinded that order. So we're back to the law.
you need three people.
So others can attend.
So others
and
can be
vote,
in them?
You won't be
You can
counted.
Call in.
Oh,
You won't be
can
counted. So you can call in, but you won't be counted as part of the voting quorum.
yeah, you can still, as long as 3 people are here, 2 can call in and still be part of the meeting,
But
still
don't think-
vote.
I don't think their votes count.
Yes,
Yeah.
Do they?
Oh, they do?
Oh, they do count. Okay.
Wait a minute. So the law says that
you have to have in-person meetings and you have to be in person to count for a quorum, but your vote is still valid?
If you're not here.
Yeah, because you're participating. I mean, for example, in the summer, a council member
Yeah,
goes to her home, or when she was born,
yeah.
she calls in, she votes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Well, okay.
I'm not, yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't write the law. I'm frustrated with you.
So that's actually, I mean, okay, so.
I'm not personally that worried about it, but
No.
it's just part of this Republican thing that just makes me really pissed off.
Yeah, well, and we're all vaccinated, so I mean, the risk is very low, but like if
Yeah.
it got really bad, if the
Yeah.
law says we have to meet in person, well, we can grab some chairs and go sit outside.
Yeah.
That would be fun. At least
I mean, it
until
might
the
make-
weather gets
Especially in
bad.
January.
Yeah.
You can meet in a bigger space.
Yeah.
We can meet in the hangar as far as that goes.
Yeah.
And,
Is there air conditioning?
I mean, it's just open. I mean, it's big doors.
Oh, okay,
and
so
just-
air
City
will come
council is
through.
not meeting in council chambers. They are meeting in the larger room with the seniors.
All right.
All right, good.
We can meet in the air in each one's airplane
There you go.
and zoom in.
So, yeah, if there are members who can't attend, make sure, maybe we let Mike know, that way we can ensure that we do have a physical quorum. But it sounds like at least two of us could attend by Zoom if.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad I asked.
Or tell,
Or telephone.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other reports from commission members? Anyone go to Oshkosh?
No, I was in Ireland.
I was in Iceland.
Well, unexpectedly, I did go to Oshkosh.
Oh,
And did you miss the storms that?
I did. I came in on the Saturday at the end of the week. We were running short on marketing people at the John Deere booth. And so they were asked if I'd go do it. And I thought, well, sure, if you're paying for my hotel and my mileage and my entry fee, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Did you see Scrappy?
I did not. I only stopped, I kind of went just in the main display area, and I really only stopped at one place, and that was the folks from Peoria that have the Tarragon aircraft. I don't know if you've seen the Tarragon, but that's a pretty sharp airplane.
Is it?
It's a full carbon fiber, two-seat tandem, light aerobatic with a Rotax 114 turbo, retractable gear. It looks like a P-51 with tricycle landing gear,
But small.
but it's smaller.
Huh, it sounds like a blast.
Yeah,
200 mile an hour cruise at 5 gallon an hour,
That's
that's
amazing.
efficient.
40 mile an hour stall.
That's even more incredible.
That's, are you buying one?
$300,000.
300.
You want to go in together?
I don't know that there's a quorum I can have in my house to make that resolution.
It's got, I think he said it had a 1.5 second roll rate. So,
That's crazy.
Wow.
so yeah.
Sounds dangerous.
that can be an operation.
Yeah. I did visit, I was going around just kind of looking and there was this logo. So, here's ours.
Who is it?
Who is it?
So can we sue them?
No, I mean, I'm a trademark attorney, so I figured that this would come up, but I thought it was interesting. We've got priority by 3 years or 4 years. This guy's doing an electronic ledger for aircraft maintenance logs. So something that Jet Air might be interested in from a maintenance standpoint. And yeah, he knows we're out there. He didn't know until I pulled up on the website. I'm like,
Well, the hexagon's oriented different.
it's a different oriented hexagon. And it's doesn't have a
Not a wire airplane and not, no,
The
not a.
blue is sufficiently.
It's really, I mean, I just really was surprised.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'm not worried about them stopping us from using our logo. But he did ask me if I could register it for him. I'm like, I think I'll register ours first. I could.
You might want to. We should
Might
talk
want
about
to.
that.
Yeah, maybe I
Why do
should.
I need to go to that?
It's $1,000.
With advanced operations.
I can't expense. We talked to our lawyer about it. If we registered our trademark,
Our logo.
if we were to register this, so you're just curious, it would be a legal expense. It'd be a-
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We need to.
We're only going to use this in the US, and we've got common law rights in the US. that work for us, so yeah, good show. The home grounds
Yeah, next year.
next year.
We didn't think it was gonna happen when we booked our trip, so.
There are a lot of people.
At Oshkosh, I think they had like 400,000. It's like 600,000. So it's not as big as, it's still big. All right, any other commission member reports? Staff report.
So far, the Kansas City, the Four States Conference is the 25th, 26th, and 27th of August. We're still planning on being there since we've missed all of the cutoffs for early backing out. But if the FAA is not going to be there, then it kind of makes the trip a little worthless. So I don't know. It's kind of in a rock and a hard place. But yeah, outside of that, I got nothing going on the rest of the month.
What's the conference for?
It's formally known as the FAA Central Region Conference. So it's the four states that compose the Central Region: Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska. Right. And it's basically a chance to get FaceTime with the FAA. So the people that are giving us grants for the runway work, stuff like that, we can have a better in-person meetings and sit down and map everything out like we're expecting to do. Get a better idea of what's on the FAA's radar for, either funding or upcoming issues or things that maybe we're not doing or the FAA is prepping for that maybe the rest of the nation isn't exactly aware of. And then a lot of networking.
So it's a really good level setting.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
in normal years, it's a worthwhile conference.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, it's similar to the state conference. It's in the spring. Just this one is hosted in Kansas City, which is, I mean, it's literally like 2 blocks away from FAA headquarters down there.
All right. Anything else for Mike? All right, last agenda item is our next meeting set for September 9th, 6 p.m. We'll be there.
I will.
Okay.
I will be here.
I will.
Me too.
I'll be isolating. I may take it by Zoom. We're going to Germany 16th. So we're trying to isolate for 2 weeks ahead of time.
Yep.
But going to Europe now, did you need a test to get into Europe?
No,
You need-
we arrived the day after and we only had to show our vaccination cards to
But
the
getting
airline.
back- but getting back to
Coming
the
back,
US.
you needed a test.
Right.
Yeah.
They have an
I
at-home
quite
one
the
that you
story
can
to
order
tell
ahead
you
of time.
about
Okay.
getting back to
I
Iceland.
don't know who you're flying.
United.
So we went through United, bought the at-home test
Perfect.
kits, brought them with us. It was $70 for 2 tests.
Mhm.
You do a video call, they make sure you administer it correctly.
Mhm.
You get the results on your app and then you upload them to United
Perfect.
and then you're done.
Perfect.
And then no one asks for the results after that.
I had the exact same kits, my wife and I, when we went to Iceland. Fortunately, we brought 2 others with us, but this is a kind of a weird kit. It has a swab and a little bottle of solution. You swab your nose, you put it in while they watch
Mhm.
on your phone, and then you drip 5 drops into this little plastic
Hard.
device
Yeah.
that Bluetooth links to your phone.
Hmm.
It's not one of these like a pregnancy test where there's a colors change or
Right.
something.
It's-
And then 10 minutes later, the phone says, congratulations, your test is negative, except you're not supposed to do 2 tests at once, I guess. And I mean, the instructions say you shouldn't do this within 30 feet of someone else who's also doing a test.
Mm.
But the guy that I talked to, and you have to schedule them. So my wife and I scheduled them consecutively. He said, is there someone else in the room with you who's also doing a test? And I said, yeah, my wife. He said, oh, she can do it too at the same time. And I said, but the instructions say you can't do this. And he said, no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
So-
ours didn't do the app thing, but we had you could 24/7, you call in and
Okay.
video chat. and-
You didn't
It's
have,
the
you didn't
app.
have, you didn't have the app?
No. Well, I had the app, that's where the results got uploaded,
Yeah.
but it was uploaded by virtue of me going through with somebody on the phone, but.
Yeah.
It's the app at
Me
at
too.
home test.
But
You both
ours
did it?
both came up positive. It said, your test is positive.
Oh, so you tested again.
Well, we weren't sure what to do. I mean, so we talked to the people at the hotel and they went, oh my God, go back to your room, you know. They called the health authorities. You know, they said, you know, you can't leave your room. We'll deliver breakfast to your room, which was a paper bag with some yogurt and stuff in it. And no coffee. Oh my God. Then they had to drive us. We were away in the wilds of northern Iceland, so they had to drive us an hour to a place where they had a hospital that could do a PCR test. And in the meantime, I called back. I had these spare kits, and I said, you know, I'm not sure we did this test properly because they told us what I think is maybe wrong. So that night, it was like midnight. I had to pay another $15 each in order to use these tests that we bought at the drugstore, and to have them proctored. And we did them separately, and they both came back negative. But by then, the Iceland authorities were so freaked out that we still had to drive an hour and get reamed out and have a PCR test that came back 24 hours later, during which we remained isolated.
Did you get out on your original flight?
We fortunately, we did this test 48 hours before our
Good.
flight.
Yeah.
So, because it has to be within 3 days of your flight home.
Yep.
So my advice is if you use the United test, you know, make sure you do it separately.
Yeah. We did ours back to back, but
And there's another company that is used by American and other airlines where you buy 5 tests for $150 or 6 tests. I think you have to buy 6. And that gives you a color change. It's a lot simpler. And
that was what ours was. It was a color change and it was just a 2 kit, $70. It was easy peasy.
Appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
most will be here. I may not, but I might call in. Can I preside over the meeting if I'm over the phone?
Yes, but it's probably easier if someone's here who can see people.
Mhm.
I don't unless you are actually on Zoom. But if you're
I'd be on Zoom.
Yeah, then I think you could. It's just a practical.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. We'll do have a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.